We've seen how eyewitness confidence can be an unreliable indicator of accuracy, while at the same time being a cue people use to judge accuracy. However, we've also seen that it's not a poor predictor under all circumstances. So what does this mean we should do in practical terms? The recommendation from Wells and colleagues is that we should obtain an immediate confidence statement at the earliest possible time from the eyewitness, as soon as they've made an identification decision. That's because this is when their confidence is least likely to have been contaminated by feedback, and hence their stated level of confidence is more likely to be a reasonable indicator of their accuracy. Another recommendation is that we should video record the lineup, including filming the eyewitness, to allow assessment of their confidence at the time, including by jurors at any subsequent trial. Another benefit of videoing the procedure means that people can subsequently check if best practice was carried out. In fact, if a procedure is videotaped, then it is likely to have a prophylactic effect and increase the likelihood of officers following best practice protocols in the first place. The thing we should not do is ask eyewitnesses to identify the suspect at the trial, as their level of confidence in their identification may well have been contaminated by this time, possibly even to the point of changing their identification judgment. So, in summary, here are the evidence-based recommendations for how to run a lineup from Wells and colleagues. First, use unbiased instructions. This means you need to ensure you tell the eyewitness that the perpetrator may not be in the lineup. Second, use a double-blind procedure where both the administrator and the eyewitness do not know who the suspect is in advance. Third, conduct lineups as soon as possible after the crime. Fourth, choose fillers that match the eyewitness's prior description of the perpetrator and look reasonably similar, but not too similar. Fifth, only allow one identification per suspect eyewitness pairing. For example, the eyewitness should not be asked to identify the suspect again at the trial because their judgment might be contaminated. And finally, videotape the entire lineup procedure, including the administrators and the eyewitness. In the case of Lydell Grant, we've already seen that a double-blind procedure was not used, and the eyewitnesses were asked to identify Lydell on multiple occasions where later identifications were suspected of being affected by feedback. This means it's possible that, if the guidelines described were followed in this case, Lydell Grant would not have been falsely convicted.